Hello everybody, how's it going? What's good, what's new? So basically this is video 2 in this little series of videos, and this one's about fear. So there's an actual virus out there that's not the coronavirus, and this virus is the virus of fear. And it's basically a virus that affects our mind, our mindset, and it can make us sad, depressed, and all that kind of stuff, right? Now, what fear leads to is negative thinking, and negative thinking leads to anxiety, which leads to depression, which leads to a lot of bad stuff, right? So there's basically a story in a book by Trevor. The book's called It Takes What It Takes, and it talks about this guy that went on a train. So he was like an AC engineer, like a refrigerator type engineer, and he went on to a freezer train in America. And so it's quite an interesting story. Like, this is how powerful your mind is, and this is why it's so important not to like fear things. So I'm just gonna tell you the story, right? So the guy went on the train, and when he went on the train, the door closed behind him, and he was meant to fix the refrigerator or the freezer in the train. So he sat there, and now he's locked inside the train, and he's thinking, oh, what to do? So he's just stuck there. So he started to write stuff on the floor. He's found a pen or a stone or something, and he started to write stuff on the floor and start to journal his journey in this freezer, where he's getting cold and starting to freeze up. So he started to write down, it's 8:01 as an example, I'm getting cold. Then he's wrote down, it's 8:30, it's getting colder, 9 o'clock, I'm starting to freeze, 10 o'clock, I'm feeling frostbite, my hands are hurting, my fingers are hurting, my nose is hurting, I can feel the freeze coming into me. Then 1 o'clock in the morning, he's starting to write, I love my family. I don't know the actual full story, you can listen to it on the thingy, but it goes along like this. So I'm missing my family. Then 3 o'clock in the morning or night, he's writing down, I can feel frostbite on my leg, I can feel my heart slowing down, I can't breathe anymore. And then 6 o'clock in the morning, he's starting to write down that, tell my family I love them, and these are my last words, I think I might die soon. So then at the bottom it says, these are my last words, I think I might die soon. And then like a little line, ... And what happened is that he died. So he actually died. And then the next day, the police or whoever the investigators came, his mates or whatever, they opened the freezer up, and they saw him lying there and he was dead. And the investigators came to investigate the death, etc. And what they found out was that the freezer wasn't even on. So the freezer wasn't even on, it was just normal temperature in there. So they were all confused, but this thing is called psychological death. So he killed himself by just thinking, it's cold, I'm getting colder, my organs will start working, my hands will start working, etc. Just with the power of his brain, he killed himself. And this is really important for us to know this story, because this is like causing a problem, like not about killing ourselves or whatever, but people are like hurting themselves, and people are going through illnesses, and even if they get the virus, or even if they think they've got the virus, they're like, all of a sudden, I'm not feeling well, I've got a temperature. They might not even have a temperature. They'll give themselves the virus, they'll give themselves a temperature, and they'll give themselves all these things where they feel like they've got the virus. They'll go and get the test, they're fine, but they feel for 3-4 days while they're waiting for the test, I'm not well, and they think they're not doing well. And it's the same thing with people that have actually got the actual real virus. They feel the same way. So there's a lot of negativity out there, and you need to fill your mind with either positivity or just try and get rid of this negative stuff that's going on out there. So today I've got some practical tips for you on how to help with this negativity. But before I tell you about this practical advice, what you need to know about is negativity is this. When you have a negative thought, Tony Robbins talks about this very well. So when you have a negative thought, it leads to something negative happen in your life. It was going to happen anyway, but you take that thing in a negative way, and then you make what's called a negative feedback loop, because you tell yourself, oh, I knew that negative thing was going to happen, so my life is crap. So then the next negative thing will happen. You start thinking negative again, next negative thing happens, and then you just start going around this negative loop. You can combat it with the positive feedback loop, which I will talk about in another video, but today's advice is something different. Actually, the advice will actually help you with the positive feedback loop. This is actually good advice to make a positive feedback loop in yourself. So a positive feedback loop is, you think positive, something positive happens, it reaffirms that, oh, everything's good in my life, and then you keep building that positive feedback loop. So what I need you to do, or what I want you to do for the next maybe 3-4 weeks, on top of your gratitude journal, which you've started to do now because you watched the first video. If you haven't watched the first video, watch the first video. We talk about the gratitude journal there. And what I'd like you to do is start making what's called a happiness journal. This concept is from a book called, I can't remember now, Happiness, I think. The book's called Happiness. I'll find out the name, I'll write it down somewhere. But you start writing 5 things a day down after work, or when you get home from work, that made you happy, smile. That's it. And if the first couple of days you'd have to think really hard about things that made you happy and smile, but after 5, 6, 7 days, it'll start getting really easy, where, oh, someone held the door open for me, just simple things like that. Or someone held the door open for me, oh, that made me happy inside, that made me smile. Or, oh, like someone said, oh, I've got a nice car, oh, that made me happy, that made me smile. Or, you know, someone that you don't really talk to said hi to you, or you're walking down the road and someone said hi, good morning, or etc. Any little thing that made you happy or smile. And what happens is, once you start doing this process of writing this happiness journal, is that you reprogram your brain, your subconscious brain. Tony Robbins calls it the RAS. You reprogram this system. It's called the reticular activating system. You can Google it on Tony Robbins videos or whatever, where now you've reprogrammed your brain to look for happy, good things, because our brain is built to look for negative things just generally, right? Because negative things affect us more than positive things. So our brain, you reprogram the brain slowly to look for positive things, and it's a fight to always look for positive things. But you can reprogram the brain with this happiness journal. So 5 things a day that make you happy, made you smile, even small little things. A warm cup of coffee, you know, warm cup of tea for the English that like the tea. So anything that made you happy or smile, write it down. And every single day, initially it's going to be hard, because if your life's really bad and, you know, you're going through a lot of stuff, whatever, you know, it might even be like a small thing, like, you know, you had food to drink or eat or whatever that day. But over time, you're going to get to a point where even like everything will start making you happy. Like even if someone swears at you, you'll be like, oh, okay, you can, I don't know, just make an excuse to make yourself happy. You'll start twisting it and making it happy. So yeah, that's the next task. So for the next 5 weeks, 3, 4, 5 weeks, start writing 5 things a day that make you happy. It'll help you a lot, okay? So that's the second video done, and then we're going to do a third video on something else, okay? So if you feel it helped you, share it, and all the other good stuff, okay? Bye.